Welcome back to another episode of LazeeCraft, folks. That's right. We're on a personal space. Okay, so I'm here standing in front of a glass wall. That's right. All right. Basically, what I'm doing is on the last episode I completed a village, and I started building a building out in the over further away from everything that we can transport the villagers to store them. So as they breed up in the village, fall into a minecart, they'll get transported over to here. They'll get dropped off, and minecart will. The whole plan was then the minecart will return back to the village. So as another one breeds, it'll transport them over again. And it's not a really compact village breeder. I'm trying to do something different, something on my own design, using what little I do know. Now, I did a big stone brick village center, and I was kind of like going, well, that's fine, but it looks ugly, and you can't see the villagers very well without climbing up a ladder on top. So I thought, why don't I build one with glass panes? And I was looking around here, and you got all these different colors, and well, the lime green, yeah, you can see through it okay, not as good as you can on the red or the purple. Yellow, once again, you can see through it, but not as good as the blue. And I'm trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I decided I'm going to do a diorite border. And then I'm going to go ahead and use glass panes, and I'm not sure. I guess, I wouldn't want to build any of my buildings that I'm going to have every day out of the purple, but I want to try and do something with it. So I think I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to make up some purple dye, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of purple paints. I'm going to go over and see what I can do. I think the purple and white will look pretty good together, and if not, well, we'll just have to redo it. So I'll go ahead and I'll gather up all my supplies, and then we'll get over there, and we'll start building onto the old one, and with a new addition, and then I'll try and convert it all over without losing my villagers. So we'll see you soon. Okay, here we are. We're over at the villager storage area. Now, I did move this clear off 100 blocks away from the village. And like I said, I just constructed a quick one out of stone brick. It does work that, as soon as I move a bunch of villagers over here, they start breeding new ones right at the village immediately. Now, with the original cart system, I had it coming in here, and the cart was turning into the cactus and hitting that, and then trying to drop down in the hoppers on the side. Now, that wasn't working, and I figured out why, and it's actually a really dumb move on my part. I should have put the hopper there with the track right on top of it, and that way when it hits the cactus, the hopper had sucked the cart down in. I wouldn't be losing my carts and everything else. I actually ended up, I was waiting on more iron golems to spawn so I can kill them, and then I finally just went and did some mining off camera. But what I want to do is I want to keep the same concept, but I want to make it a little bit bigger because it's awfully compact in there, and I also want to make it clear so that we could see in through the sides and see what's going on in there. Now, basically, I was going to use some diorite, and I think yep, okay, so we're going to go ahead and dig some of this out here, and let's put in the diorite. And where's my dirt? I want to just throw another block of dirt in there to fill that hole. I don't know, that just bugs me. So alright, there we go. Now put some polished diorite down in here. And then I think if we take and put these right here. Now I think that will look really good right there. Yeah, that will look very nice in my opinion. That purple kind of offsets with the diorite, so. And then, yeah, we can still see right in there and see what's going on with the villagers. So, we're going to go ahead and let's knock this on out. And power shovel. So efficiency shovels are great for, you know, not doing a lot of terraforming, but if you're just trying to take off a layer, it's very easy to do something like this and punch down a couple extra layers, and then you just got to go around and fill them out. Don't know if it's quicker since you have to do that, but let's see here. We'll just go ahead. I'm going to build this all in and enclose it before I go ahead and let the villagers off. Now let's do this. I think that looks better, and we won't have something like that happening then. Oh yeah, that'll look better, having the diorite on the corner pillars. So, all right, let's take this and that's pro there. I even broke it properly. All right, so there, we'll just throw those in there. Grab my loose ones here. And then, let's see, can I do this? Now as for the top, we'll probably have to just go with regular, can't do that many high. There we go. I'll probably just do a regular, put a line of diorite across the top here, and then do like regular glass blocks, and that way I can still have plenty of light getting in there. Lighting, I see lighting being an issue, especially since I don't think you can put torches on glass. So, got it. All right, good. So, well, I need that one there anyways. I'll just jump over it and there we go. So we'll just now cap it, and there we go. So this is going to look pretty good, I think. I mean, it's different. It's, you know, definitely, I wouldn't normally build something out of purple using purple glass panes like this, but I think that's going to look all right, you know. And you got a nice view in there of the villagers as, you know, when you walk in here, you're going to see those villagers, and that's going to be, you know, seeing how they're doing. So I think that'll work out just fine right there. Main thing is I do want to get that capped off, so you know, nothing can get in there and get to them. So I think you can't do glass panes in there, so I'll have to just do glass blocks. Now I don't have any stained glass blocks, full blocks. I turned it all into panes, which I'm probably going to need by the time I do all this. So let's go ahead and see. Can I take off? Oop. Well, this won't be too hard at all, you know. I could tear it down a few layers at a time, and then when I get down lower, I'll just have to just make sure I'd only do one. The biggest trick is going to be doing the flooring over there with the villagers. I'll knock out a hole and try and coax them through and then block it off every so often. Trying to make sure that they stay out of my way so I can go ahead and do the rest of this. And then the center will just be this type of glass right in the center. So I'll get some more glass blocks to do that. Should have put the glass panes in before I did that. Got ahead of myself. Yep, so there we go. Alright, we'll just fill this in. Boy, that was pro there, I tell you. So, you know, we'll just go ahead and I'll go ahead and I'll finish up tearing this out and putting in new spots so we can kind of see what it's going to be like there at the end. So, and then I'll cut back into it at that time. All right, we'll see you soon. Well, I got her built just about time it was getting dark out, and due to Minecraft mechanics, we ran into one serious problem. You see how their arms are sticking through there? Well, I've been having to, ever since it got dark and I don't have a bed here, I've been having to go around and make sure none of the zombies get up here because they are killing the villagers. That's right. They are actually able to kill the villagers through glass panes. So I may have to take all this out and put in glass blocks to make this work. Don't know how well I can see through glass blocks. I guess we can put a couple in here and find out. Let's see here. We'll just put three of them here, or four of them actually. I got four on hand, so come on, move back, move back. Okay, we'll do this way. Whoop! Get away from that. Get away from that. Okay, now I'll take you on. That could have been bad. Need to get some food in. I went to sprint there and I couldn't even sprint. Alright. Baby zombie, let's get this filled in before he figures out there's a hole here. Got him, just in time. You can actually still see through that pretty good, so I'm gonna have to make up a bunch more glass and replace all that. So, yep, my first attempt, epic fail. I need to get out there and kill him so he just doesn't get my villagers. And then I'm gonna have to run back and make some other glass panels or glass blocks to ensure that my villagers don't all get killed while they're in there. So that's just you know, that's something we're gonna learn and find out. Minecraft mechanics. I would have thought they would have been safe, but apparently with the glass panes they are not. See, like that, I just pushed that guy back. Apparently that one too, that one too. So yeah, I mean, that is just something. I did not know that would happen. So hey, this is why I'm playing this game. I'm gonna learn it. So we're gonna go ahead and go make some more blocks and glass and, you know, stain them this purple because, you know, I do think this is an interesting build. It's not one I would normally do. I like the diorite. I do. Don't get me wrong there. I like the diorite. And I can leave these glass panes here. It doesn't matter there. For getting the villages over there is surprisingly easy. As I was going along here, I needed to get up here and do some work with the ceiling. I put this block down so I could jump up, and as I got up here, it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's like counting sheep. They were just hopping on over and right on in. So, all right, it's daylight now, so they should be safe. So I'm gonna run back and try and get back to my spawn, get back to my home, and make up the glass blocks and everything before I and get back here during the daylight so I can replace those without anything getting in there. So I'll go ahead and I'll cut back once I get all the resources together and get the blocks made. All right, see you soon. And we're back. Okay, so I went ahead and got myself a bunch of glass, and I got some red dye here, and we're just gonna go ahead. Let's just, you know what? Let's only do that much for now. See, that gave me 10, and we're gonna go ahead and stain a bunch of this glass up, so I can go ahead and then start replacing all the panes that are needing to be replaced here, since the villagers apparently can still be attacked through glass panes, and I didn't know that. So it's nice to it was a good thing that I caught it while I was here. So while we're doing this, I thought, well, I might as well do a little bit of a talking here about myself, because I really haven't told you guys anything about me, and so I thought, well, maybe I can tell you a little bit what's going on in my life. Move back, dude. Come on, move back. All right, fine. We'll just move on down the line. So, anyhow, what's been going on the past weeks of my life? Well, one thing is my grandmother. She just passed away. And I love my grandmother very much, and I'm definitely going to miss her, but I am also not horribly upset about her passing away, because she lived to be 98 years old. Yes, and in fact, even next week would have been her 99th birthday, and she was still an active lady up until about a month ago. Now, yes, I'm sad to see her leave, but yeah, I'm also happy for the long, active life she's had. I mean, 98 years old, that's something, and, no one could say that isn't. That's just a long time, and there's going to be a lot of things about her that I miss dearly. He looks like he's going to jump out as soon as I break that. So, and it really is. It's something, to have all those years with, being around, and I got to spend a lot of years with her. She taught me a lot as a kid. When I was very young, I actually started working for her and my grandfather in what was basically one of the first ever food trucks made. They had a restaurant, and when times were tough back, oh boy, I can't think. I think it was back in the 40s or 50s. Times got a little tough in the restaurant business, and they ended up taking an old bus and creating it into a food truck, and quite literally they were at all the auctions, estate sales. They started even going to the local college football games and setting up out there, and it wasn't long and they actually became very well known. It was really neat, their life story. They actually had a following that is only in comparison to like what some people would say like a Twitter following nowadays, because what it was is people would contact them to make sure they can make it to a sale, and they would actually advertise that. So it is known that they were going to be there, and some people would show up because of that. They might have been like, yeah, we could go to the sale, but I'm not sure if I really want to. Oh, well, they're going to be there, so yeah, why not? Let's go. And it's just amazing that that's the way it was. And you think about it, because it wasn't like it was going to be put in the someone just tweeted it out quickly and boom, there it was. No, it was planned out. It was put in the newspapers, and and also word of mouth was part of it. People would be like, "Hey, are they going to be there?" And if yes, okay, let's go. And it's just the life that they lived compared to what we have today. And like I said, they were very active right up there until the end, even. And that is something amazing. My grandfather, he passed away a few years back, and they both lived in their 90s. It's just amazing what their lives were like and living through everything. They're always active. My grandmother, she made quilts and all kinds of stuff. If people were, poor and couldn't afford, blankets, or something happened and they lost everything, Grandma would make new bedspreads for them and stuff like that. And she would have stuff like that for all these people. The other thing is, she would just, the amazing things she made. We all got massive Afghans and quilts and all this stuff that she made, and very creative. She pot and pan holders, she made them. She was in the kitchen all the time too. You talk about way people cook nowadays. You think about some of the stuff to do. If someone's going to make a whole bunch of pies, they basically go get a whole bunch of pie crust. A lot of times they'll just go get a whole bunch of pie crust and turn around, let them all thaw out, and then fill them with cans of pie filling and stuff like that, and voila, there's a bunch of pies that they made. Well, no, my grandma would have had a fit, would have had a fit about that. She would not do stuff like that. To her, a pie was made when you started with a great big ball of dough about the size of the basketball and made as many pie crusts as you could out of that, and then started putting in fresh fruit or stuff right from her huge gardens. Her gardens were the size of people's home, the lots people have their homes on now. And they were just massive. In fact, my very first home I lived in was their garden. The property that my first home was on when I was just a little boy was actually a garden before it was a corner lot for a home. And, these aren't little things you see in small towns. These were huge yards with, from the Midwest, basically where we're from. The other thing about it, she would make all this fruit and she'd grow, acres of stuff. They'd be out harvesting apples, doing strawberries. It was a huge family event at times. So many of us in the family would all get together, and we would do nothing but picking strawberries all day long with a massive amount of us. So that stuff I will always remember and cherish from them, and the fact that we can go back and remember those times. That's just amazing. I can't tell you, what it was like, remembering that. She would make. I would go and help her sometimes as she was preparing for these sales. She would make upwards of 30 pies for a sale, and just you think 30 pies, wow, that's a lot of pies, just that's only made even bigger by the fact that the pies are all made from scratch. They weren't made from prepared crust, and the fruit and stuff like that. She put them, a lot of that stuff, if it was stuff that was preserved, is because she made it and she grew it in her garden, harvested it, and then turned around and canned it, and made fillings so she can have it for when it's not in season. So, that way, if it's the wrong time of year for strawberries, she could still make her strawberry pies. If it's the wrong time of year for all kinds of stuff, she still had it because she did all this stuff. And that's the stuff that I'm going to always remember from her. It's just to kind of show you, what it was like back then that she would do that stuff. And last night I was kind of going through some of her old stuff, and she had like all these recipes on how to make, homemade potato salad for 60 or more people at a time, or even upwards of 100 people. So, homemade potato salad for 100 people. That's a lot of potato salad, and she had all the ways out to do that, all these notes on how to do that stuff, and having this stuff nowadays, yeah, I don't make potato salad for 100 people. I don't. Two reasons. One, I don't ever serve 100 people at a time, and two, I really don't care for potato salad. Although hers was all right, I will admit she had the best potato salad I ever had. It's one of the few that I'd actually eat, but still, of course, most potato salad I get is all from a grocery, so, or someplace that has mass produced it and not made it homemade, fresh, so it's just things like that. So one of the things, though, that I did get, and it's really neat, she took all these little scraps of fabric that she had left over. None of it was big enough to do anything with really productive. I mean, the pieces were all really small, a few inches in sizes, and, that's basically it. So what'd she do? She took all these scraps, and she made... It's basically, say, if she had like some dishes that she wanted to keep warm, she made this container that would hold those dishes. She could slip the dish in and turn around and take it in that way, so that it kept better that way. Now he's gonna just your zombie food, dude. It was your own fault. If you would have stayed in, you'd have been fine. So, but anyhow, I got this container, and it's a really neat pattern and stuff. So, people are like, well, what are you going to do with those? They were all, I'd say a little bit over, right around 15 inches by 15 inches and stuff. Well, my plan is this. I've got some picture frames I'm getting that are about the same size, and I'm going ahead and move out of the way, guys. I'm trying to plant this. Oh, two more. So, anyhow, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to get some picture frames. I'm going to mount these into picture frames and display them as decoration in the home. And then I also was going to put a couple of her pictures in with them. So, not only do I have these really nice backgrounds for her picture, they're also parts of what she is, so of who she was. And it's just sentimental stuff like that. And I got some of her thimbles and stuff I'm putting with them, and some of these box frames, and it's just really, it's stuff like that, that sticks out in you. And really, when I was looking at some of her stuff, people were asking me, do you want this? Do you want that? A lot of it I looked at, and even though I really, really would like to have some of that stuff, I just did not see the point. I know it's sentimental, but you got to look at it this way too. how much of that stuff would ever get any use from me. Some of her pattern equipment that she would use to make her patterns out before she knitted them and everything. People are like going, "Oh, these are really neat. She used these to make it." Well, that stuff's nice and big, and I could put it in storage somewhere. Some of her knickknacks that she had, people wanted to know if I wanted them, and yeah, they're neat, but one of the problems is right there is what would I do with them? Here's exactly what I'd do with them. They'd end up in my basement, stored in boxes, and not being used. That's exactly what would be happening. And the things that I did take, there was a piece of a stone that said Grandma's Garden. That stone I got. Why? Because I'm building some planter boxes, and she had like all these hostas and stuff like that. So I'm putting them into planter boxes so I can keep them going, and I'm building opening in the front of the planter box so she can actually, it will say Grandma's Garden, and that opening will be right there as part of the planter box. So it's not like I'm going to have it out there saying, yeah, this is Grandma's Garden, but it is. It's part of her. It's part of who she was, and I'm keeping it. I'm going to keep it going as long as I can for her, and that's what was more important to me than anything. I wanted that bed. So, yeah, it's people will sit there and say, well, why were you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why do you want that? And as I was telling them what I was doing, they just were like, I can't believe I didn't think of that, or I can't believe no one else mentioned something like that. That's really neat, and that's part of what it was all about to me. I don't know about you guys. Don't know if any of you have ever had someone that you're a grandparent or someone like that you're really close to. And if you did and they passed away, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm also sorry about my grandma passing away, but I'm also happy for the life she had. She had a very long and healthy life, and I cannot complain about that one bit. I'm ecstatic about what she had for her life. So, and that's what I'm going to remember. Now, next week, I actually was looking at one of her things, and it had all these different patterns and colors and stuff. And I was trying to think, what could I do to honor her? And I was thinking about, what if I could build something similar on Minecraft, somewhere. And, just kind of a little video tribute. And my grandma, she was never a computer person. She wasn't. Most grandparents aren't. But, something like that, she would, see that and be, impressed by it. She would think it was really neat. She was always one of those people to help encourage me to try and do whatever I wanted. If I wanted to try something, to do it. Don't just sit around and say, oh, I'm going to do this someday, but never do it. She was like, hey, if this is something you think you might want to do, go do it. Try it. If you fail, you fail. But if you don't, you got to do what you wanted. And that means a lot to everyone, to have people that encourage them that way and, want to get them to do whatever. Man, those guys are noisy. So, I really hope you all have ever had someone like that you could count on in your life, that really made you feel the way I did about her. And I hope they encouraged you to do whatever, try and be your own person and to push on, because she did so much of that for me, and I can't tell you what it meant for me, and what it still means to me today. The whole fact is, she taught me a lot. From a kid having to get up, you know, get up and make sandwiches at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning for people. Oh, I do have the chest. You know, just stuff like that. You know, that's was part of who she taught me to be. And people are like, oh, wow, you know, you were having to get up that early as a kid to make sandwiches for people. Well, yeah, you know, that was it. And my grandfather, he was the same person. I mean, throughout the whole thing, I was hearing people say, you know, she was one of a kind, and I had to totally disagree with most of the people on this. She was one of two. My grandfather was the other one, and the stuff they did together, in the life they lived together, the way they lived their life and did things, it's really good. And you know, that's a lot of our lives. A lot of us, we need to live our lives more. Like right now, this is something I wanted to do, and I was like, well, I don't really have the time. I don't really have, you know, a great computer, so I need to eventually buy a new computer and all this stuff. And I was running through it all and trying to convince myself I shouldn't be doing this. But here I am, and I'm doing it. And one of the reasons is because of people like my grandma. And I kept losing mine cards from the other village and everything, and I found them all. I had them all in it. Stuck in another hopper. I kept making more until I was running out of iron. And look what I found. So, but, you know, that's important to me, and I sure hope, you know, you people know what it's like to have people that encourage you to be everything that you can and do what you can to enjoy your life. She was one of the people that helped push me into, hey, you know, if you want to try this, try it. What's the worst that can happen? You fail and you learn and become a better person? No, well, that's part of life. So don't ever be afraid to try something. Now, whether my Minecraft videos will ever be worth anything to anyone and anyone would really want to watch them, I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know is I'm having fun. And to her, that would be what mattered. If she knew I was having fun doing it, she would be encouraging me to keep it up. If I was making money, you know, that was even better for me, but I'm not making money on this. I don't get paid any advertising. I just do these videos because I want fun. Eventually, I'd like to get some advertising to help offset some of my costs, but for having servers and, you know, buying games and paying for computer equipment. But that's not the main reason I did this. The main reason I did this is I wanted to try something. I wanted to see if I could succeed at something. And that is what she would be proud of, that I tried. So, you know, I really do hope everyone out there has someone in their lives that would encourage them and push them to, you know, experiment with your own life. Try to do the things that make you happy. Because I had that. And I'm really, really happy to have had that. And I can't, you know, words, I'm sorry, but I can't express in words what that means to me and what it meant to me. So, I'm going to have to make another chest. Alright, so... Oh, what am I doing? Alright, there we go. Now I got a crafting bench. Alright. So, now Am I gonna be short on wood to do that? Watch. I'll make a crafting bench so I can make a chest, and I have just enough if I don't goof it up. Man, they're noisy. Those guys really need to learn how to keep it down. You know, my upstairs neighbors, so they're horrible, aren't they? You know, listen to them up there just slamming their doors and stuff. But anyhow, so, you know, I do apologize for this being kind of a sentimental, sappy, you know, talky bit here. But, you know, this is something in my personal life, and it's something that's really important to me. And if you're watching my video, you might be wondering a little bit about me. And then again, you might be like, I don't care, you know, just build something or try something or fail something or get blown up by a creeper or whatnot, you know. But this is kind of how I came to be, you know, a gamer. I loved gaming all my life, and even before it got big into all this, you know, like internet and stuff like that. When the very first internet games came out, I was playing on them, and we were recording them using software and putting videos together, and people would just watch them. Give me your iron. Ow. So, you know, yeah, it's not that anymore. I'm definitely, you know, the life like that, the gaming like that isn't anymore. And I actually did have a following at one time back then, but now I don't, and that's fine. You know, I gave that up for several years, and now I'm trying to get back into it. And honestly, I don't know how to deal with this new method. If I'd never gotten out, I probably would have changed with times, and things would have be fine right now, and I'd be gaming and doing a ton of YouTube content. But really, I hadn't done that, and so I'm trying to learn how to do all this new YouTube stuff. So, you know, my videos aren't the greatest, but I do enjoy it. So, and this is what counts. I'm trying something, I'm having fun, and if I fail, I fail. I learned, and I enjoyed myself. So, and that's exactly what my grandmother and my grandfather would be proud of. My grandfather, he was part of a club. I know a lot of people won't know it, but it was called the Oddfellows Club. And one of their mantras was, you know, to encourage people, educate the orphan, help the weary, feed the hungry, clothe the poor. You know, and that was their mottos, and they did. They did all kinds of stuff like that. And that was all part of being who they are, you know, and I can't be prouder of that. As you see, I've been actually doing some mining and tunneling at the same time. I would actually mine out, and then I would tunnel ways and mine out on the sides, and then block it back off or fill it in. This is actually going to be a railway going back to our central village from spawn, and I was just kind of tripping on down here. So if you're wondering where I'm at, that's exactly what this is. Our iron farm is going to be back there. I'm also going to use this to kind of transport the iron back to spawn, and I was just kind of looking to see whereabouts we are, because I'm still trying to judge how I'm going to come out at the main town area. This was fun to do. I would take buckets of lava and get it out of there. You know, pick up several buckets of lava, put it all in a chest, and then I'd take and drop sand or blocks in or something like that, and I would start building up the cage. You know, building up a block area around up above the lava, and then bring it back down and put in this glass before coming down here and taking out a block, dropping in a pane of glass before the lava got too far. Breaking a block, dropping a block of glass before it got too far. And that's exactly how I did it. I went remove, replace quick. Remove, replace quick. Remove, replace quick. Remove, replace quick. And there's a few times, this is actually a new Silk Touch pick because there was one time I was cutting one of these blocks out and I went to throw in the glass pane and I hit the wrong button and I accidentally tossed my pick right in the lava. So I was like, no, and it was just repaired. I just fixed it when that happened. So it was like almost brand new, but yeah, that just happened. So, that's the way things go. And we're back. Okay, so I was just telling you about how I would knock out a block and put a new one in, and we got disconnected. It is actually starting to storm outside, and there is a lot of thunder going on. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on here. I'm actually probably just going to go ahead and polish this episode up here real soon. Yeah, here's some of the stuff as I was digging up around down here. I kept putting them in chests around. And I've been, carrying it out and stuff like that. So I had some extra picks and everything down here. I'm not done yet. So just going to pick up some of these blocks, get them out of here, fill up my inventory with them. And then, go ahead and, ooh, more steak. I didn't see I left. You know what? I'm going to put all but a couple down there. I can get more back at my village easier than I can here. So, yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble on about, my life. If you want me to tell you more about my life and things like that, and if you go ahead and let me know, leave a thumbs up or, just say something in the comments. And, definitely, I want to hear what your guys' favorite memories are of your grandparents or favorite stories are. Even if they're still around, there's times when my grandma was around that we would talk about some of the old times of being together, when I was just a little boy. And one of the things I remember talking, and, my grandma, you gotta love her. She and I were talking and stuff, and she was talking about when I was a boy. One of the latest shows on before the TV went silent was Doctor Who. That's right, Doctor Who, not this new one. I'm talking the old Doctor Who, from the 70s and then the 80s. So, yeah, I remember watching those, and then after that got done, the screen would go to bars. They would play the national anthem, and then the TV would shut up, go to nothing but white noise. This was all before cable was even invented. You had a choice of 3, sometimes 5 channels. So, yeah, this is a long time ago, folks. I'm just kind of aging myself there. But, I remember that, and I would watch that, and at midnight when the TV went off, I'd get up, I'd go turn it off, and I'd sit back in the recliner, and I'd go to sleep, and get back up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd go out in the kitchen, I'd start getting loaves of bread out, and I'd get a huge tub of salad dressing out with some those rubber spatulas that people use. Stop hitting me! And I'd wait for my grandma to come out at about 5, and she would have these turkey sandwiches, or these whole turkeys that she cooked and Grandpa carved the night before, so everything's all stored. Oh, by the way, I was AFKing. I got done and over by the villagers, and down in that water area, there was some creepers, and a few of them were lighting up. And I wondered what they were doing there. So I went to try and shoot them, and they blew up and blew up a whole bunch of other creepers and zombies all stuck in that whole water area there. And I wondered what the heck was going on there. And I found out they were supercharged creepers, which are supposedly very rare. And I saw them. I saw them, and it's just kind of neat that I saw them. So sorry about that interruption, but yeah, it's just definitely let me know. Those are some of my favorite memories of my grandmother and grandfather, being there. But the funniest thing about all that is my grandma said I was exhausting. I would get up bright and early, and I'd be a cheery young boy. All right, let's get this done. Well, you want me to do this next? Okay, I'll do it. Oh, what's next? What's next? I wanted to get everything done for him, try and do as much as I can for him. And my grandma was just like, you're wearing me out, So, yeah, it's just kind of neat hearing that. And I will admit, yes, I might be a little hyper now, but back then I was horrible. I was such a hyper kid. And I really do love my grandma. I miss her dearly, but I'm also happy for the life she had and the time we had together. And please, make some comments and let me know what you think, and tell me about some of your happiest memories. So, all right, well, that's it for today, folks. I know you don't want to see my backside. That's it for today, and I want to thank you for tuning in. And please leave a like or make a comment, whatever you want to do. And you have a great day.